And we are live for what is probably the final MLB strategy show of the year. It is Friday, September 29th. Let's have some fun. I'm Josh Engleman here to break down a 13-game slate to close it on out. We're going to have quite a bit of fun, but we're going to have to do it pretty quickly. We have the NFL strategy show coming up after this bad boy at 11 a.m. So we'll have about 55 minutes to break this one down. I really wish that I played baseball yesterday instead of the NFL. This guy barely had David Montgomery. This guy had more Rockies stacks yesterday than any other team. That got me nowhere. Hope everybody followed my thought process of getting to the Rockies, because I sure didn't, and it probably cost me monies. Oh well, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Hope everybody had a good night, whether you were playing NFL or MLB. I hope you were in the streets just getting the goods. That is my hope for you guys. So for next week, I think we should probably talk this through a little bit. We don't really know what we're going to be doing yet. We don't have game times for the playoffs yet. So there's no games on Monday. So I can promise you I'm not talking baseball on Monday. But if we want to talk Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, the games are likely to be noon, 3, 6, 9 o'clock, spread out through the day. So I'm not going to do a strategy show at, I don't think maybe I'm doing a strategy show at 10 o'clock. Maybe I'm doing a strategy show at 10. If lock is at noon, we're not going to move the NFL. If I can do if lock happens to be at 1 and we can pull off a noon to 1 live before lock, then maybe we will do that. But we're going to have something for Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday in some way. I will break this down for a couple of days, but we don't know yet what the schedule is going to look like. So pay attention to the YouTube channel if you're interested in what's the word I'm looking for? Baseball next week. If you're interested in baseball, that's the word I'm looking for. That was dumb. That was real dumb. Okay. We got a lot to talk about. I think we should just dive in. I don't have too much more filibustering to do. We got a lot to look at here. I can't stop getting to the Minnesota Twins, which is really annoying. I was really hoping that this would go a little bit different, but it didn't. It didn't. Is Divock Origi on Nottingham Forest? Did they get rid of him? Nobody's going to care about what I'm saying right now. When did he go to Nottingham? How did I miss that news? Why don't you come back to Liverpool? That's a bummer. Went on a loan. Well, I guess I'm cheering for Nottingham Forest now. Nope, not that anybody cares about my thought process on soccer, but Divock Origi putting on the LBs in the belly. All right, let's get into baseball. The Baltimore Orioles are taking on the Boston Red Sox. And if you're here, to the 45 of you that are here, hit that like button. John Means on the hill for the Orioles, 4.1 run implied total. Nick Pivetta on the hill for the Red Sox. 7,600. So these guys are basically the same price. 3.9 run implied total for the Red Sox. That's basically the same as well. So not much to read into right out of the gate from pitching, other than we're seeing a lot of ownership coming in here, and I didn't totally expect to see that, but we are. And we're going to have to talk about it a little bit here. So John Means, 7,400, 27% owned to start off the day. Nick Pivetta on the opposite side, 7,600, 14% owned. So straight out of the gate, John Means is overowned. Does he look like a good play today? Absolutely he does. However, he is a bit overowned. I can't lie. So I have 13% of John Means. I don't mind getting John Means. I just don't think that he should be in close to a quarter of the lineups. 27%, a quarter of the lineups on a 13-game slate. That's a little bit more than I think he deserves for today. He's not that guy. Since he's been back, he's not getting any strikeouts in the 250 pitches he's thrown. He's had some power issues, not generating swinging strikes. So I have 13%. Maybe this comes down a little bit, but I am not fond of getting to John Means at that ownership. I'd be more likely to get to Nick Pivetta on the opposite side. I don't think these guys are all that different. I have the proper ownership at 12% for Means, 9% for Nick Pivetta, but Pivetta's half is owned. So I still have 10% of Pivetta. I still want to get to that side, but the key takeaway for me is that John Means is a hair over-owned. It just doesn't make a ton of sense to me. Pivetta, big-time strikeout stuff. You're expecting Ks out of Pivetta. You're also expecting him to give up power. 219 x-ISO to lefties, 173 to righties. It's an interesting game to go to pitching, but keep a close eye on that Means ownership because it's a little high for me. Now, if we're talking bats, that's where it starts to get a little bit different. This should be very obvious to you guys if you've been watching for a while. I think John Means is overowned at 7,400. I think a lot of his ownership is coming because of his price, which means I'm getting to the Boston Red Sox. I have them 7th in top stack, 6th in top value, 4th in stack score, oddly enough. We need to be very clear right out of the gate. The Braves and the Twins are on a completely different planet than everybody else. So those two top stacks take all of the top stack odds, and then everybody else is really smushed together. I don't think Boston grades out well. They're 7th in top stack. That's 3.8%. The Braves I have the Braves at 16 and the Twins at 20. If you're looking for reference here, we have Minnesota at 18 and the Braves at 14. We have Boston at 2.5%. That's more middle of the pack. But that whole pack is just smushed together. If John Means is in 27% of lineups, if he's had a little bit of power issues since he's been back, I want to get to the Boston Red Sox bats here on the opposite side of that ownership. So I have 12% Boston, 28 stacks. They are tied for second in ownership for me with the Braves and then behind the Minnesota Twins. I think Boston looks great on the opposite side of this Means ownership. Rafael in the leadoff spot for a $3,800 shortstop. Rafael Devers is $4,900. Now, he's not going to grade out well, lefty against Means, but he is $4,900 now, so the price looks great. Is it a high likelihood of success? No. 4% for me, somewhere in that neighborhood. 1 out of every 25 times we play this slate, it's the Red Sox. That ownership for John Means makes them way more interesting. On the opposite side for Baltimore, I don't see it as much. Pivetta's ownership is about right, so I don't think we're creating that same sort of leverage. I think the Orioles look pretty similar to the Red Sox as a stack. I don't really have it. So if I rank this game, for me personally, it's going to be Red Sox, bats, Pivetta, John Means, Orioles. In at number 2, we have the Toronto Blue Jays taking on the Tampa Bay Rays. It's a 4.1 run implied total for the Blue Jays, 3.5 for the Rays. Yusei Kikuchi going for the Blue Jays. I felt like life was trying to attack me this morning. So I wake up, I sit down and I start building out my sheet and getting everything ready so that I can record contenders. And I pull all the lineups from my lineup source. And then I go to FanGraphs and I go to their probable pitchers table and I copy that data so I can see how many batters guys normally face in games, because I want a quick list next to the starters. And I look at it and I see, all right, well, Yusei Kikuchi is in as the starting pitcher for the Blue Jays. Then I go to FanGraphs and the probable pitchers thing isn't listing Yusei Kikuchi. They're listing Ryu. And I'm like, okay, I mean, come on, FanGraphs. Like, I get where you're going with this, but, it's Kikuchi. I don't know. Why are you picking Ryu? We can't just say that those guys are the same guy, if you get where I'm going with this. So I'm just like, well, I wonder if maybe there's some ambiguity on who the starting pitcher really is. So I go to MLB.com. I check it, and it's Kikuchi. So I'm scrolling down to see who I pasted into my sheet, right? But for some reason, I didn't go to the Blue Jays when I was looking at it to see who I actually listed when I did my update. And I accidentally went to the Mariners. So I originally saw Kikuchi. FanGraphs showed me Ryu. I go accidentally to the Mariners thinking it's the Blue Jays. And what do I see? Brian Wu starting. So I thought I got a third guy that was just like really complicating matters, and that every site was just picking the wrong person of some sort of Asian descent to put in as the starting pitcher. Then I realized that I was looking at the Mariners. It was early. I did not have any coffee yet at that point in time. Just a really weird morning where I thought 3 different Asian names were starting for the Blue Jays. Today it's Yusei Kikuchi taking on Aaron Savali and the Rays. Kikuchi 9% owned at 8,200. Savali 4% owned at 8K. This looks about right. Savali should be around 5. Kikuchi should be around 10. I don't think that either guy looks like anything special. They're just guys you can get to today. That's what we're looking at. In terms of bats, like, I don't really want to target against Savali or Kikuchi. The run total doesn't look great here. I have the Rays 18th in top stack. I have the Blue Jays 20th in top stack. Neither one of these teams are getting any real ownership. Highest owned bat in the game is 5% to Vlad. I think we can quickly write this one off. I don't have any major stand on any bit of this game. I don't even really have ranks. I have no preferences here. I mostly just want to stay away. Whatever shows up from Kikuchi, Savali, Blue Jays, or Rays is just sort of randomness. Next up, Mets and Phillies. 3.9 run implied total for the Mets, 4.2 for the Phillies. Tyler McGill and Taijuan Walker. Both of those guys could be like around 5% if you want to roster those arms. I don't think you should. Pay very close attention to the weather. If any game on the slate, there's really only one game that matters for weather today, and it's this one. And it looks like it probably won't play. Obviously, they're going to have time to finish out this regular season over the next 2 days. You're going to have Saturday and Sunday to play a doubleheader if you want to close it out for Phillies and Mets. The game is absolutely meaningless to the Mets. And as best I can tell, meaningless to the Phillies as well. I don't think there's any wiggle room. So they don't even really need to make this game up if they don't have to. But they'll probably play a doubleheader Saturday or Sunday. Just assume this game is... like, they're going to pull the plug on this one early if it looks like they can, because there's just no incentive. They've got a Saturday, Sunday set. That said, the game looks awful. 2% ownership coming into McGill, 2% to Walker. Highest owned bat in the game is 4% to Bryce Harper. I'm going to sneeze. Hold on. Man, that Bryce Harper ejection yesterday was nonsense. I'm really happy he gave Angel Hernandez the business, though. Yeah, so, like, if this game gets rained out, good. I'd rather it be off the slate, one less game to pay attention to, but I don't like any of it. The Mets I have as my least favorite stack of the day, 24th in top stack. I have the Phillies 13th, but they're 25th in value. I mean, you've got Castellanos and Real Muto in the 6 and 7 hole at 5K. 5 guys in the lineup north of 5K. So I look at this game, complete ignore. Just like Blue Jays Rays, I don't want the Mets. I don't want the Phillies. I don't want the pitchers. All right, we're up to 78 people here. Hit that like button to the 30 plus that have gotten in here since I started the show up. We've got, we're going to go to until 10:55 before we kick it on over to the NFL Strategy Show. Later tonight, myself, Matthew Bellman, we close out the work week. MLB Live before lock. We'll take you up from 6 until lock. All right. The first of 2 teams that are the real top stacks for today, that would be the Atlanta Braves taking on the Washington Nationals. Braves 6.4 run implied total. Nats 4. So yes, the Braves are the favorites on the run line as well. Alan Winans going for Atlanta. Trevor Williams going for the Nats. Trevor Williams is awful. Don't roster him. Winans pulling 9% ownership. I guess that's fine. 8,700 feels a little bit too expensive for this spot. But it's a nice matchup against the Nats. They don't strike out much. I don't have him. I don't want him. I want the Braves bats. Their run total is only second to the Minnesota Twins. The only reason the Braves don't look better is because they're 13th in value and not first like the Minnesota Twins are. The Twins are basically free in cores. The Braves are still priced like the Braves are today. So I have 13% ownership to Atlanta. They are 12% owned. The biggest chunk of ownership that I have of Atlanta is using Ronald Acuna as a one-off or, in a non-4 or 5-man stack. As I look at the Braves, I have 27% of the 32% of Acuna that I have is outside of primary Braves stacks. So I love getting to Atlanta. Their upside is massive. They just happen to be expensive. There's enough value pitching out there today that I think that you can get to the Braves pretty easily. They look great. I have nothing negative to say. Play the Atlanta Braves. This spot is awesome. In Atlanta, Trevor Williams, great run total. They look great across the board. Nats bats are a value against Winans. They're not very good. I have 3 stacks. They're 2% owned. Ignore the Washington Nationals. White Sox and Padres. Dylan Cease going for the Sox, 4-run implied total. Nick Martinez going for the Padres, 4.6-run implied total. Only 10% ownership coming into Cease. He's 8,900. Certainly strikeout upside. Terrible matchup. Terrible park for it. He's 10% owned and he should be. I have 5. Probably don't want to take a stand on Dylan Cease without major changes to the Padres lineup. Nick Martinez is pulling no ownership at 5,800, nor should he. If we're talking about anybody in this game, I guess we're talking about Padres bats. I have them 6th in top stack, 8th in top value, 6th in stack score. They're only 4% owned. Tatis is projecting 11% ownership, and I don't think that's crazy. He's really good. The next highest owned guy in the lineup for the Padres is 5% to Soto. They've got 3 MPEs, multiple shortstop options, which is really weird to think about. They're getting slept on a little bit. I mean, this park plays up power, and I think that's at least a little bit appealing. Cease doesn't really give up a ton of power, so that's where it starts to limit you a little bit, but I do like the park. Maybe Cease just doesn't give a shit in the final start of the year. So as I look at this one, I want to have a little bit of the Padres. I have 12 stacks. I have 7% of them. They're only 4% owned. But as I look at it, I don't want a ton. I do want to bet on a slate like this where you have value pitching. I think it becomes a lot easier to take a bet on top stacks that are expensive. So we'll see if that ends up working out today. But I do, if they're only 4% owned, I'm happy to have a couple stacks of the Padres. Like Juan Soto at 5,200. That looks good. 5,400 for Tatis. That looks good. Clayton, I would imagine Martinez gets more innings than Avila. Not that it matters. You're not playing either one of them. On the opposite side for the White Sox, 23rd in top stack out of the 26 teams. I don't have a single stack They're unowned, basically. 2% is the high, man, for the White Sox. So as I see this game, I like the Padres a little bit at low ownership, and I don't mind Cease around 10% ownership. But no priorities here, once again. The only priorities that we've had so far are pitching in the Orioles-Red Sox game and the Braves-Bats. And now we're up to our second priority for today. This is the one that I don't really know what you're supposed to do here. Rockies and Twins. 4.9 run implied total for the Colorado Rockies. Ty Blach is pitching. Do not roster him. Joe Ryan is pitching for Minnesota. 6.6 run implied total for the Twins. Joe Ryan's 9K. He's 5% owned. That's fine. I don't mind getting to a little bit of Joe Ryan because of how bad the Rockies are. Price is a little higher than you'd want it to be. He's the third most expensive pitcher at 9K. He is interesting, though. But Minnesota Bats, I mean, I don't know what you're supposed to do here. I have them top stack, top value, number one in stack score. We have them top stack, top value, number one in stack score. They're like 15-ish% owned. They should get a ton of ownership. They're the best team by a mile. They're easy to roster. They work with everybody. They've got 4 MPEs in their projected lineup. 3,400 for Donovan Solano. Like, every single bit of the Minnesota Twins looks exceptional today. I don't really see a scenario where you can get away from them. They look better than the Dodgers did. Think about that for a second. Because of the price tags on the Twins, they're a better option than the Dodgers were these past couple days. All of the Minnesota. Now, Rockies. I liked them yesterday. It worked yesterday. Unfortunately for me, I did not play baseball. I played the NFL. I have them 4th in top stack, 10th in value, 5th in stack score. 4.9 run implied total still looks good, but Joe Ryan being on the opposite side really takes the wind out of my sails. So Rockies are 6% owned. I think that's about right. I have 5 stacks and 4%. I don't have much here. This is not the same sort of day that I want to get to Colorado because I've got too much respect for Joe Ryan. He is not like the random idiot that you want to get to here. 132 x ISO to righties. Now, I will say, Joe Ryan has given up a 203 x ISO to righties, but he also strikes out 33% of righties. I'm going to take my chances that the righties aren't all that scary for Colorado. So if I rank this game, it's very clearly Minnesota 1, Joe Ryan 2, Rockies 3, Ty Blach, never. Absolutely never. Can't imagine playing him type situation. Oh, let's stretch out the old shoulders, a little tight. All right. Watch is charging, phone is charging. Case comes tomorrow, guys. Think I'm going to be making my switch. I'm too nervous holding that bad boy without it. All right, here we go. Royals and Yankees. The Royals have a 4.2 run implied total. Yankees are coming in at 4.8. It's Jordan Lyles on the hill for the Royals, 5,300. Carlos Rodon going for the Yankees. He's 7,100. We're doing the Carlos Rodon thing again, I guess. About 20% owned, 7,100. I think he's mildly over-owned, but I'm still getting there because of the value, because of the park. The park really helps here. Now, Rodon had a massive start 2 starts ago against Pittsburgh. K'd 10, went 6 2/3. I think he might be starting to feel himself again, and at 7,100, you're hoping for the best. Now, he is likely to see 9 righties. Are you worried about that as Carlos Rodon? Not as much as you would be for lefties. 266 x ISO to lefties so far on 193 pitches, just 198 against righties. He strikes out more lefties. So it might not be the best strikeout matchup for Carlos Rodon, but in this park, when it limits power like this, I think, anywhere in that 15 to 20% range for Rodon works. I'd be willing to go like 20 seems like a ceiling. We're actually projecting him for 30 right now in whatever we refreshed. That's a little healthy for me. I would like to come in lower than that number because I think the matchup is a little tricky. He gets so many more of his strikeouts against lefties that I think that changes the way you look at him. I'm going to get a little bit of Jordan Lyles. I tend to in these situations. 5,300 at home against the Yankees team that's got a bunch of strikeouts and isn't like the most aggressively talented lineup in the world. Jordan Lyles is 2% owned. I have 10%. There's not much to add here. Carlos Rodon is definitely the better option. For bats, I actually have the Yankees third in top stack, third in top value, but they're 10% owned. These guys are pulling a pretty sizable chunk of ownership. In fact, as of right now, they are the second most owned team on today's slate. I can't get to the Yankees here in Kansas City if they're the number 2 team in ownership. You're just going to find better options. So I only have 5.5%. I have 6 stacks. I see the Yankees as a fade. I definitely don't have interest in the Royals, not in this park. If it were in New York, I'd be a lot more interested in these righty bats, but it plays down power so much that I don't see it for Kansas City. All right, we're making good progress. We're halfway done. We're at the bottom half of the hour. We're turning it to a little bit of a promotion here. You guys like Owner's Box, right? I'm bringing it up on the screen right now. This is Owner's Box. They are the sponsor of this show. And here's what you can do with Owner's Box. If you like free money, that's what you get on the Owner's Box side of this deal. Click the link in the description. You're going to get up to $500 on your first deposit. Now, you got to deposit a minimum of 10. I think that you should put in as much as you can because they're going to match it 100% up to 500. So if you put in 500, you get 500. If you put in 100, you get 100. Either way, you're getting free money. That's a great benefit. The other benefit comes from us. You get 1 week of our NFL Sims Max package. This is the brand new package that we have for the NFL. Includes the contest generator and our simulation tools. And that'll cover you for Owner's Box, DraftKings, FanDuel, showdown slates during that week as well. You're simulating, you can generate 10,000 lineups in like a minute. Simulate them all against each other. Get ROI for individual players, individual stacks, the whole lineup itself. Build out a much more detailed package of lineups for yourself than you were before. It's the best tool you're going to find, and you get it for a week for free. Come check us out. See what you've got. You're also going to have the opportunity, and that's what we're going to go look at right now, to get in the best contest in the industry for week 4 in the NFL on Sunday. If you want to play in anything and have your best opportunity to win money, this is what you're looking for. 175K prize pool, 35K to first. They're going to look for 14,000 entries. The past 2 weeks at this level, they got about 10K. That is overlay, folks. You're not paying any rake. You're paying negative rake to get in this. It's like having solar panels and giving back if you bring in more energy than you used. You get a credit for it. That's basically what you're getting when you enter this Owner's Box contest. They're likely to have overlay. I expect this to be, for the 4th straight week, I've said it every day here for a month now, this will be the best contest you can enter in the industry. Don't sleep on it. Sign up at Owner's Box right now. Link in the description. All righty, folks. Let's bring the Excel sheet back. I really wish you could share more than one thing in StreamYard. Shout out StreamYard. Let's go Brewers and Cubs. Not much to talk about in this one. 3.9 run implied total for the Brewers. 3.9 run implied total for the Cubs. Colin Ray and Kyle Hendricks on the hill. Ray is 7K. Hendricks is 7,700. Neither guy is 5% owned. That's about the extent of what I would want for either one of these guys. I have 4% of Colin Ray. I have 3% of Kyle Hendricks. I have the Brewers as the number 21 top stack. I have the Cubs at 16. I don't have a Brewer stack. I don't have a Cubs stack. I only have shares of 4 guys. Bryce Turang, Tauchman, Ian Happ, and Mastroboni. No part of this game. None of it. I want none of it. Don't give me the Brewers. Don't give me the Cubs. Don't give me the pitchers in any sort of bulk. Full cross off. Put it with the rest of them at the beginning. I've already said more than I want to say about Brewers Cubs. Cardinals Reds, different game here. Jake Woodford going for the Cardinals, 4.5 run implied total. Brandon Williamson going for the Reds, 4.5 run implied total. No ownership coming into Woodford. No ownership coming into Williamson. I combine both of these guys. If you combine both of them, they might actually be a decent pitcher, but they'd be 13K projected for 20.7 fantasy points. They probably still suck. Neither one of them getting ownership. I have one share of Jake Woodford. I don't want either of the pitchers. The Reds are probably too expensive for today. 11th in top stack, but 23rd in top value. Park crushes lefty power. I don't have a Reds stack. I basically don't have shares of any of them. I do have a small amount of the Cardinals here against Williamson. Because you're getting that lefty-righty matchup, I think they end up looking a little bit more appealing. Williamson this season, 194 x ISO to righties. And as of right now, it looks like he's going to see 9 righties. Lefty power dies in St. Louis. Righty power is still basically neutral. So I kind of like the Cardinals a little bit. 12th in top stack, 2nd in top value. You've got 4K Tommy Edman, 5K Paul Goldschmidt, $3,700 Jordan Walker. The rest of the guys are all in the 2Ks. So this is a decent value option against a lefty in a park that is okay for righty power. I have 6 stacks. I have 4% ownership. That matches the field. I don't have any problems with the Cardinals. They're the only thing you should get to in this game. Angels and A's. 4.5 run implied total for the Angels. 4 for the A's. Chase Silseth going for the Angels. He's 6,900 and getting ownership, 16% owned. Little bit too high, but I think he's probably the best value option you can get to. So I don't mind it. I have 20% of Chase Silseth. Ken Waldichuk pitching for the A's. Does this dude pitch every day? I feel like we talk about Waldichuk constantly. 7,200. You don't want more than 5% of Waldichuk. I think you do want some Oakland A's stacks, though. 15th in top stack. 5th in value. They're only 3% owned, but you've got Chase Silseth on the opposite side. If he's going to be 15 to 20% owned, I think you have to start thinking about getting to a little bit of Oakland. 152x ISO to lefties, 166 to righties. The question is going to be, how far does Chase Silseth go in this game? And I think his ownership, if that creeps up a little bit higher, makes the power for Oakland look a little bit more interesting. In particular, lefty power, which plays up pretty big in the Angels park. Ryan Noda, JJ Bleday, Lawrence Butler. Those are the 3 lefties I see right now. If we get any more in the lineup, that's going to be a benefit. I think the A's are at least a little sneaky at 3% ownership. I have 13 stacks and 6%. I do not have much of the Angels side of this one. 2 stacks, 2%. They are 4% owned. They're a nice value option, similar to Oakland. 17th in top stack for the Angels, but 4th in value. I would just rather get to the Angels and the A's look very similar in top stack and top value. Why would you want to go to the Angels against no ownership if you can go to the A's against ownership? So that's why I like Oakland and I like the Angels a little bit less. Like top 5 guys in the A's lineup: Noda, Geloff, Rooker, Bleday, Langoliers. I have 7% of those guys. They're 3 or 4. Happy to just double up there. It doesn't affect my day, but I have enough spots for Oakland in a park that I think plays well in this matchup. We are cruising through this slate now, guys. Diamondbacks and Astros, 3 to go. 4.8 run implied total for Arizona, 4.3 for Houston, 9,700 for Zach Gallen, 8,300 for JP France. I do want to be at least a little aware of this situation for today. I don't totally know how far Zach Gallen is going to go in this game, but I assume he's going to go the full way. So 9,700, only 10% owned against Houston. Terrifying matchup. No strikeouts here. I don't really like getting to Zach Gallen. Most expensive pitcher on the slate. I just don't like this spot today. I really don't. So I only have 1% of Gallen at 9,700. I'm more likely to get to someone else for today. JP France on the opposite side at 8,300. Don't play him. 1% owned. Not the guy. if you're going anywhere, I think you're going to Diamondbacks bats to try to attack JP France, because while I might not love Zach Gallen as the guy I want to get to, I certainly don't want the Astros bats against him if he's not pulling any ownership. That seems terrifying. Diamondbacks are 5th in top stack, 14th in value. They are 4% owned. I have 4%. I have 7 stacks. So I'm basically neutral. I don't like taking teams in this park. 88 park factor to righties, 85 to lefties. It just limits power. That doesn't matter as much for Houston, but they've got the terrible matchup against Gallen. So this game is mostly a stay away. I think you could have some shares of Gallen just on a talent level, but if I'm getting anything, it's probably Diamondbacks bats. I just don't want Houston today in this scenario. I think it's a little bit much. I don't have anything else to talk about. Like, I don't have anybody in double digits here. 9% Corbin Carroll is the most I have of anybody, and he is the guy you should get the most of in this game. I think this is like a relatively easy slate because there's a lot of teams that you should just cross off. If they win today, I'll never win those days. All right. Mariners and Rangers. 3.9 run implied total for Seattle. Brian Wu on the mound. 15% owned at 7,800. Nathan Eovaldi on the hill for the Rangers. 3.6 run implied total. 21% owned at 9,300. Second most expensive pitcher. Let's start with Eovaldi. He's 21% owned. I think that's about where he should be. Maybe a tad high, but this is the guy that I'm getting to pay up for today. There's strikeouts in the Mariners lineup for sure. The park limits runs. I like that quite a bit. I assume we're going to get a dub here, or we're trying to get a dub for the Rangers. So I have Eovaldi in for close to 6 innings. I have 31%. He is my most exposed pitcher. Nathan Eovaldi is a guy that I have my eye on, but don't sleep on Brian Wu in this spot. 15% owned, which I agree with, but 7,800 in this park. I kind of like it. Is it the best strikeout matchup in the world? No, but I think Wu's price tag is appealing. Is he getting ownership? Yeah. Should he? Yeah. Like, I like him a lot more than Taijuan Walker, Aaron Savali, Kyle Hendricks. Those are the guys around him. I've got Wu at 17 fantasy points. I have those other guys at 13. So I have 28% of Brian Wu, 31% of Nathan Eovaldi. I'm not getting to the pitch or the hitting here. 26th in top stack for the Mariners, 22nd for the Rangers. This is a game that I want pitching. This is my most exposed pitching game. Or maybe it's the Orioles-Red Sox? Oh, yeah. This is my most exposed pitching game. Mariners-Rangers, the premier pitching spot. Late night hammer, too. So you might like that one a lot in the night slate, 4-game night slate, kicking off at 9:30. But get yourself Wu. Get yourself Eovaldi. Those are the two guys you're looking for the most. And then we close it out. Giants and Dodgers. 4.1 run implied total for the Giants in San Francisco. Keaton Winn on the hill. No ownership. 4.7 run implied total for the Dodgers. Lance Lynn on the hill. 8,600. 12% owned. Yeah, we're doing that Lance Lynn thing, folks. We gotta, right? We're in San Francisco. So power goes away. Right away, that's appealing. Lance Lynn's biggest issue, I think we all know what that is. He's going to have some power problems. 227x ISO to lefties, 191 to righties. But he also has that 28% K rate to righties. I think this park helps keep the ball in the yard. I have 30% Lance Lynn. That is my second most exposed pitcher. Lance Lynn's getting slept on with that 12% ownership. This is a fantastic spot in this ballpark. If we can get more righties out there for the Giants, if we get the right break in lineup, this is going to look even better. I think Lance Lynn's potential for a huge strikeout day is there. And if the ball stays in the yard, you're going to appreciate it. Don't play Keaton Winn. On the opposite side, you don't want Giants bats. There's not enough ownership to Lynn to want to get to the opposite side. This park doesn't help. 25th in top stack. Dodgers are leaving Coors. First game outside of Coors after that series. 8th in top stack, 24th in value. I don't like targeting them. They're going from arguably the best park to arguably the worst park. Awful. So I am not getting to the Dodgers. The only thing I want in this game is a heavy dose of Lance Lynn. man, we ripped through the second half of that slate, but I didn't think there was much to talk about. Like, I don't have Brewers bats. I don't have Royals bats, Brewers bats, Cubs bats, Reds bats. I don't have the Angels, the Astros. I barely have the Diamondbacks. Like, we're talking about just, I don't have the Mariners, the Rangers, the Giants, the Dodgers. Like, look at all of this ownership. From games that start at 8 p.m. on, if we just ignore the Minnesota Twins, that's 30% of my ownership. The rest of it is all kicking off at 7 o'clock. So as I look at this slate right now, I have 5 pitchers that I like the most. Eovaldi, Lynn, Wu, Rodon, Silseth. All the way down the salary tier, pick off whatever you want. My favorite stacks for today, as of right now, in terms of who I'm getting, the Minnesota Twins, obviously. The Atlanta Braves, obviously. I think the Red Sox are a little sneaky. I don't mind the Padres. Oakland sneaky as well. In terms of fades, I would imagine I don't have much of the Yankees. I don't see anybody else pulling an extreme amount of ownership just yet. But folks, we've reached the end of the line. The MLB strategy show for today is complete. And for right now, I don't know what we're going to look like for next week's playoff games. This has been fun, man. This has been a really nice way to get me on here, sharing screen, prepping us for the NBA, which starts in a couple weeks. You'll be getting that fast and furious from me every single day. We'll love it. Anybody have any questions before we get out of here? Chat, hit me up. What you got? I'll answer whatever you got in the next couple minutes. I'm not seeing anything. Thanks to everybody that's here, man. It's been fun. We've had fun this last month without Adam. Dong picks. Sure. Sure. Alrighty. Dong picks. Let's go with I'm going to go Salvador Perez. There's my Dong pick. Sal Perez. Guys, thanks for being here, man. It was awesome. Keep your eyes peeled to the YouTube channel next week. I'll be here for Tuesday for sure, but I don't know what time that's going to be. You'll get something from me. Contenders, absolutely. So look for my Contenders videos, absolutely. I'm out of here, guys. Good luck. Enjoy your weekend. Go Reds. And I don't mean Cincinnati. We got Tottenham tomorrow. Going to beat their ass. Adios.